I thought we'd start with just an arriving and settling meditation, maybe 10 minutes or so, just to connect with what's true right now. So I always like to begin a sit with making sure that my posture feels good, making any adjustments. And sometimes when I first sit down, I think I'm comfortable, but when I really tune into it, I find that I've pinched something up or something is a little out of balance. So just take plenty of time to make sure everything is in good shape, comfortable. Even very small fidgets right at the beginning. And I think it's helpful to also begin by just recognizing a kind of a global sense of how we're feeling this morning, how we're thinking, what's on our mind, what's going on in our lives. Just really look around and see. And if there's any struggle or difficulty in our lives, it's always appropriate to bring compassion to ourselves. And poor humans. Just offer a little guidance to help us come into the body a little more detailed. So we're going to be noticing that we're breathing. And noticing that whatever our posture is, maybe sitting, noticing that, noticing any points of contact, the chair, the cushion, the floor. Getting a sense of the weight of the body, the shape, or the heaviness, pressure points where the weight of the body is holding us, or seems to be holding us. And maybe recognizing anything that's painful or uncomfortable in the body, any unpleasant sensations that are present, any tension in the body. Just bring that kind attention to whatever is happening, relaxing around the pain or discomfort, letting it be, but just not being at war with it. And then just to maybe arrive a little bit more centrally into the body, connecting with the sensations of the breath in the nose, throat. The movement of the chest, sensations of breath going into the lungs, and feeling or imagine we can feel the breath around the heart. Maybe taking a moment to connect with our intention for being here today. We can find just one word, can think of it as our sacred word. You can come back to this when the mind wanders or if something unpleasant comes up or anything that feels out of alignment. We can align with our sacred word throughout the sit, throughout the morning, throughout the day. And then continuing to move our attention along the spine, moving in the back body with the breath, and coming down into the belly, noticing any sensations of movement with the breath around the belly button. And checking for any tension that we might choose to relax. Or at least just be aware of. Any attention down into the pelvic bowl, sit bones. And again, just noticing that sense of the weight of the body. It's being held so perfectly by gravity. And then we can open the lens of awareness to the whole body, sitting, breathing in and breathing out, whole body breathing. Might think of it as the body calling for the breath, not that we are doing the breathing. Just let the body call for it. And then for about the last minute, just a little experiment. I invite us all to make a decision to come into stillness. So other than the breathing and the other functions of the body, for about 1 minute, let's just determine to not move a muscle. So welcome again, everyone. Thought I would take a little bit of time and offer some reflections. And then we can do some movement and a longer meditation, and then maybe do some breakout just to talk about what we've learned or discovered together. So the title of today's reflection is Holding Perfectly Still. So in the guided meditation, we started out and there was the encouragement to fidget a little bit, kind of get that situated. And then we went through a series of prompts, beginning with the mood in the mind, what's kind of happening for us today, and then shifting over into like a body scan that was along the breath through the body. And then ending again with this kind of a question, actually, or an exploration. So the instruction was to hold still and not move any muscles. And this is just something that I'm kind of, this is an exploration with you. So, feel free to think what you think and kind of we'll weigh in together. But what I have found for myself over time is, I've definitely perfected all the hindrances, I would say. Lots of practice of feeling greed or aversion. I was really good at that. Or doubt is this little sneakier one. It's a little harder to see. Struggle with sleepiness for a long time. I'd, go to all this trouble to go on a retreat, and I would get up there and just clonk out, and I'd be so mad, and I'd go into the meditation hall and the teacher's voice would be really soothing and relaxing. And I'd be like, God, doesn't she know she can't do that? I'm going to go to sleep. But restlessness is one I think that has really stayed right there with me. And whenever we find a hindrance in our practice, it's not bad news. We have to remember that it is not bad news. It's actually, I think of it like as a portal. This is what I need to be working on. If I look at this, this is the direction for more liberation. So it's really good news when you see, oh, this is restlessness. This is what I need to be working on now. So restlessness is expressed either as restlessness and worry or restlessness and remorse. But if we think about that, that just means that we can be restless about sort of the future or restless about the past. And it's one of the 10 fetters. It's actually number 9. And the fetters are lined up sort of like this is how you can tell how you're doing on the path. So they tend to go in order. And the ones at the end, I think of as being like graduate level fetters. So it's towards the end. So if you're finding restlessness to be very challenging, I'd say, well, it's not just you, and it's actually a a good challenge. It's really worthy of considering and practicing with and turning over in our sitting practice and seeing how's it functioning? When does it arise? What helps? What helps it to um, be less? To really study it. So I don't know if you all are familiar with Ajahn Punyadamo. He's from Canada, and he's really cute. he always rushes through the Namo really fast. And it's like can't wait to get it over with. And but he's very clear and good with his talks. And once he said, unfortunately, the antidote for restlessness is to hold still. So yeah, so that's kind of the exploration today is maybe I can even just open it up if anybody wants to say, what was it like to hold perfectly still this morning in that last minute of the meditation? What did you notice?
I can say something about my experience.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, thank you. I actually found it calming. It was really strange because I'm definitely restless, and it was almost like a little bit like a game, like what wants to move, what wants.
Thank you for sharing that. And then my cursor so I can read this. Ay, ay, ay. Felt pressure. You sneezed. Anyone else notice anything? Did anyone notice something like, wow, I can't believe how much I'm like moving little muscles here and there. And maybe at other times we aren't moving, but as soon as you put attention on it, then suddenly something kind of wants to move. So that's just sort of interesting. There's something I've been reflecting on is how so much of what we are working with in our practice are things that are on the level of survival, like just as far as like a organism, any organism will have greed or aversion, so to speak, will have these sort of hindrances, if you will, as a part of a survival. And just going towards what we want and trying to get away from what we don't want. And we have that, and we have sort of that basic survival thing. And then we also have the conditioning that you know, when we first start a practice, I think there's a lot of psychological work that we have to go through. We have to kind of sort out um, our big patterns and our kind of really habitual reactions and get everything. We're kind of working on what happened to us when we were children and the conditioning from our schooling and the different choices that we've made. And um, so sorting through those kind of um, patterns that have been laid down. But it's not only that, it's in terms of the genetic material that we have, it's millions of years of animals surviving that we're sort of now we're going to sit down and kind of liberate ourselves from this conditioning. So it's in case you ever have the thought like, why am I still dealing with restlessness? It's a very big job that we're doing to liberate ourselves from just this kind of endless round of getting things we want, getting rid of things we don't want, trying to um, be somebody. Um, it's a very big job. So that's just my way of sort of maybe trying to be encouraging, like um, whenever we're confronting in our sitting practice or in our lives, that it takes a little while. It takes a little while to sort this stuff out. And But what I find to be sort of an innate incentive is that things do ease up slowly, so there's a little bit of like we can keep going, even though, at some points we can be like, wow, I'm still working with this. Yeah, but look how much benefit, we have derived along the way, even there's small things. Maybe I just wait a little bit longer before I respond to an email or, um, take my time to consider when someone's acting in a way that I think is really bad or wrong, to just remember that person is suffering, that people don't act badly if they're at peace, they act badly when they're not at peace. They don't act badly if they understand better what our potential is, our potential for liberation. I think there were some more comments in the chat. Let me check. Right, exactly. That unconsciousness. That's right, Fiona. It's stunning, I think the things that we can see um, through our practice that must be going on all the time, and that we've never stopped to really look. Or we do, but just when we're sitting, and then yeah, to kind of recognize, oh, this is what I'm always doing. And to find antidotes, find strategies. But um, the one instruction for all the hindrances is wise attention. So I really like these kind of simple, little reminders. Okay, I just need to pay a little bit more attention to the arising of these things. And if we miss it, if a hindrance arises and we weren't really there to see it arise, to try to consider, look back and what was happening that brought this about, and try to dial it back to the cause. Wise attention, yoniso manasikara. So I think this is related here. This is a quote from Trungpa Rinpoche, controversial character, but a lot of good stuff that he said. When we speak of ignorance, we do not mean stupidity at all. In a sense, ignorance is very intelligent, but it is a completely two-way intelligence. One purely reacts to one's projections rather than seeing what is. There is no situation of letting be at all because one is ignoring what is all the time. I think that kind of points to this simple instruction to just bring wise attention to what is moment to moment. And if we find that we're sitting and starting to get restless and kind of bored or something like that, to bring our yeah, you want me to read it again? Yeah, okay. When we speak of ignorance, we do not mean stupidity at all. In a sense, ignorance is very intelligent, but it is a completely two-way intelligence. One purely reacts to one's projections. I think that's the two-way part. We're projecting and then we're reacting, and that's all we're doing, rather than seeing what is. There is no situation of letting be at all because one is ignoring what is all the time. So this is, we've also heard the instruction that, at the base of suffering is ignorance. That's the original cause, so to speak. And what is meant by ignorance in this case is ignoring, is not paying attention, is not using this wise attention. And kind of believing that when we're sitting there and we're restless, that means we should go do something else other than sit here. It'll give us that feeling, that there's some urgency to some job I need to get done. So let's go maybe let's do 25 minutes. Let's try that. So again, take your time to make sure you're comfortable, whatever that means. Put some socks on. Okay. And then come into stillness. We don't have to do perfect stillness quite yet. Start with the bell. Let's just enjoy the reverberation of that movement that brought for us. And then we might want to remember our sacred word. Bring to mind our intention. And if that's just one word, just take a little bit of time to breathe, remember, breathe and remember our intention. And just remembering how the breath feels in the body, in the center channel, moving the spine, connecting us with our seat. You might take a moment to make sure that the breath feels comfortable. Might mean relaxing in some way so that the breath can move more easily. Encourage a comfortable, pleasant breath. It might mean breathing a little faster or slower. It might mean deeper breath. It might mean more shallow. And it can and will change. Just try to breathe in a way that's responsive to what you're feeling right now. And allowing that sense of the breath being comfortable to expand throughout the body. If that feels right. I'm going to shift over to this exploration, and it is an exploration to just really notice what it's like to hold perfectly still. What that might bring up, what that might help. And if you like, you can try it for just a little bit and then let it go and then come back to it again, sort of come back to it if it feels too restrictive or if you start getting really tight. Remember it in all our practicing that the purpose is to lessen and end suffering. That's why we're doing this. So just remember that's why we're doing it. It's not to make ourselves more miserable or to, give ourselves another thing to beat ourselves up about, anything like that. It's not about that. Yeah, in your own time, in your own way, just see how it would be to come into perfect stillness.